The shadows are lifting at last, hand in hand. You and I, we have guided my people towards a brighter future. I suppose you wonder why I do not mourn? For my sister, for Oyun. Why should I? There is no sense in shedding a tear for those who stand in the way of progress. They have passed from this coil, and that is the best thing either could have done for their people. With our poor Sekema removed from a saddle, the way is clear. In lieu of a worthy leader, I shall step up, and with the backing of my followers, claim the throne of Highgate. Irasha may spit and curse, yet her duty shall overcome her distaste. She will bow to the one who bears the feather, as high custom dictates. The corruption will pass.
My poor Oyun. Tell me, Exile, did she suffer?
Yes. Tasuni has the feather. Then Highgate is saved. It's about time they gave the men of the tribe a chance to prove themselves. Tasuni will usher in a new dawn for the Maraketh.
For all our sakes, I hope you're right, Sweets.
Have you not got anything between those legs of yours, my dear? One would suppose that a man would like another man to rule more than he would a woman.
Well, one would suppose wrong then. Tasuni may benefit me simply because I was born of the same sort as he, but it's the future of this fascinating tribe that worries me. He's reckless and flippant of their sacred traditions. I fear, with him at the front of their Dakara, they will lose what makes them sacred. They will become like the bloody savages that wander the wastelands. Or worse, a blackguard.
Being a blackguard wasn't that bad, surely.
Never again.
Before Kitava tore this city apart, the Templar kept many artifacts hidden deep beneath the city streets. The only surviving remnants of the Templar theocracy are what they hoped to hide forever. I think it's time to pull back the veil. There's an entrance to the Templar laboratory not far from here. My father used to sneak me inside as a child. He never could stand the long work days apart. Come. There's something I think you need to see. My mother died not long after I was born, and my father, too, was gone only a handful of years later. Orphaned, my family's assets were seized, and I was handed off to a series of well-off foster homes as an indentured servant. But children are curious creatures, and even by those standards, I was extremely curious indeed. I grew up reading everything I could get my hands on and questioning everything they tried to teach me. I was too smart for my own good, I suppose, because eventually I started drawing the attention of the Templar. Luckily for me, Dominus was much less subtle than the previous High Templars, so I managed to leave Oriath on my own terms mostly, before my impending exile. Good riddance. In all honesty, I thought the gods were just fairy tales the Templars would tell children to keep them in line. I'd have much preferred that. No one is happy about what occurred here, but if a silver lining can be found, we all have the opportunity to start again. All our past deeds, good or bad, now lie beneath the rubble. I, like you, found myself on the shores of Rayclast. I saw the fleets of Oriathan ships dashed on the rocks after Kitava's rise. Who would have thought that Rayclast was safer than home? I returned to Oriath not long after hearing of Kitava's demise. There was no one left to tell us we can't live here anymore, and the knowledge that once endangered me could actually be put to good use in the cleanup and the rebuilding effort. I guess I'm not really one to hold a grudge. Good quality stone is scarce on this island. It's plentiful on Rayclast, but shipping it back is slow, and those ships are put to better use bringing back survivors. I know of a way that we might be able to source vast quantities of not just stone, but any resource you could possibly imagine. I just need to make sure it's safe. What a strange entity you found, Exile. Completely devoid of memory, yet cognizant and even driven. I hope to find the time to really get to know him, but I've been so caught up with the happenings out in the Atlas. Perhaps I'll join you on one of your memory ventures soon.
Oh, hello. Have we an exile? Please, you must help me. I don't know where I am, or how I got here. I don't remember my name. I don't remember anything. I suppose, for now, you can call me Carvus. Even shattered as I am, I know that memories floating around like this is not normal. I believe something terrible has happened to me. What if other men fall victim? What if mothers forget their children? What if the children are left alone and scared to fend for themselves in a world of nightmare? Exile, can you fathom the horror? I was a Templar, yes. But now I remember that I secretly despised them. I understood that they were a diseased organization, prone to brutal oppression. Friend, was I exiled as well? I cannot imagine my resentment would have gone over well with my superiors. Maybe I kept my thoughts to myself and lived a life of quiet desperation. But I feel like I was the kind of man to act. So what did I do? Exile. There is something about all this that I cannot fathom. The memories I somewhat understand. A man's thoughts, a woman's remembrance, a child's sorrow. These things come from the living or the once living. They are real. But the ancient bridges that you cross between memories, those were already out there. They came from no man, woman, or child of our land. I suspect those pathways are not made of the iron we think we see. To dwell on their origins or true nature could send one over the brink, I suspect. These are memories, yes, but they are also real in a sense. We feel pain within them. We find real material objects within them. Yet some of these objects are not quite right. It is as though they are stuck, half remembered. There's a device in the nexus that seems attuned to such objects. It seems to draw upon their properties to create something new. Its creator must have been seeking something very important in his or her past. I wonder if they ever found it. Good travels, friend.
My name's Anna, but I already know who you are. I also know what you did, Exile. If it weren't for you, none of us would be standing here. There mightn't have been a here to even stand on. This map device is a miracle of both engineering and thaumaturgy. It's truly astounding. Given the right coordinates from a map, this device can take you to places that, well, honestly, I think it's easier for you to see for yourself just what it's capable of. What lies beyond is dangerous, but so are you. Yet even the God-Slayer may not be dangerous enough. Take a map and use it in this device. I'll wait for you on the other side. This map device is... My father was a very well-educated man. He worked as a researcher in Oria, back when they were allowed to research more than just holy texts. Sadly, he's gone now. But his research remained hidden in our attic. I took what I could and read it in secret as I was moved between foster homes. I read of the mortal founders whose bones were hidden deep in the ossuary. I read of the false saints who continued to be revered in the Temple of Innocence. I read his writings over and over again, memorized them. They were the last connection I had to him. His research became something of an escape, I suppose. I wanted to build on it, especially the maps he described in such great detail. My father's writings frequently reference the work of other researchers. In particular, the heretical belief that the environment can influence a creature's form. In Rayclass, we see the effect that corruption has on beasts, humans, even the dead. Through my map device, we see something similar, but possibly even worse. Something disturbed is out there. I used to think perhaps Rayclass corruption was seeping through into the Atlas. But what if it's the reverse? What if whatever is distorting the maps is... What if it's seeping out here, into our world? That's why this work is so important. Stay sane. Still sane, Exile? Look around you, Exile. This isn't Oriath, nor is it Rayclass. I don't even think it's our world. These maps, they hold many secrets. I know it almost looks familiar, but the creatures here, they're different, more aggressive, more dangerous. We must work fast, exploring and collecting what knowledge we can. In the past, my initial expeditions were accompanied by mercenaries and thieves. Nearly all were driven mad. I believe you can fend off the creeping madness of this realm, but first, let's test your resolve. A powerful presence lurks nearby. Kill it before it grows any stronger, and meet me back in our world. If you survive, we'll have much to discuss. How fares your mind? Everything still intact? Good. Then there's something I need to show you. I've spent some time out there exploring the maps, and despite their apparent randomness, there are threads that connect them. Threads we should follow. The more we understand these connections, the more each of these maps can offer us, and the closer we'll be to finding out the secrets that twist them. This is the Atlas of Worlds, and we can use it to track these connections. We can use it to chart a path. These worlds, they have changed since last I remember. They've become darker, more twisted in a way that betrays their true origin. I no longer believe these are realms of chance. Rather, they must have been formulated by a sentient mind, a designer or architect. Every shadow in this place creeps about like an unforeseen purpose. Whatever is out there forming these worlds concerns me. We should find the source of the darkness and put an end to it before something leaks out into our reality. I understand you've created a little hideout for yourself. If you have the room, cohabitation could allow us to strengthen our alliance. What do you think? Stay inquisitive. I'd like to keep my map device here, if you'll allow me. I found designs for it in my father's belongings, and I spent much of my youth working on it. I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if I let it be damaged somehow. Of course, you are welcome to use it as much as you like. And I think it would look rather fetching sitting here. Something I've noticed since I started journeying through these maps is that the more I know about the interconnected nature of these places, the more I seem to get out of each visit. Knowledge is the key that unlocks understanding, and experience unlocks knowledge.
A penitentiary for those who are not penitent is nothing more than an inn for the evil.
What's this? A little mouse running in my maze. I hope you've said your prayers and lost your faith. The gods do not answer us here.
That creature you encountered out in the maps, he was shaping things. Perhaps he's the architect we seek. There was something off about him, Exile, something I can't place. Perhaps? No. This shaper may have the answers. Continue in your explorations. Track this mystery man down once more and question him, so that we might be able to learn what exactly these worlds are for.
Fantastic work, Exile. Here, take one of these. It will help us continue to pursue that entity.
They live trapped forever in darkness and confusion. We are no different.
The void nourishes, elevates, perfects. Break yourself upon my creation.
We have to keep laying the pressure on him. Here, this should help.
There is no war. There is no army. Only fear lingers.
You tread on the foundations of a new empire. Behold.
As long as he keeps running, we'll keep chasing. Here, take this, and be careful out there.
The creatures that prowl the wildest extremes, nature anoints with cruel efficacy to defend her. What drives you to such violence, little mouse? We shall see.
He's retreating deeper into the Atlas. We must keep up the chase. Use this wisely.
A once great monument, now a forgotten memorial.
Moment behind those bars, picturing what I'd do to you when I got out.
You shall trespass no further. It is time to end this. Ah!
I've not been entirely honest. I'd suspected my father was involved in all of this. Now this memory fragment proves his engagement in ways I hadn't anticipated. I'm sorry for keeping the truth from you. I was worried that had you known the truth, you would not have followed me into this nightmare. Let's start over. I need your help. My memory is cloudy, but I'll tell you all I can recall. When I was a child, my father and we were separated. I was told he was lost to that unearthly realm when the Atlas closed and the men who feared it took it apart. I spent my whole life trying to track down its pieces and repair his machine. A few years ago, I did just that. But now that we've found him, something is not right. My father was a kind, temperate man, a good person, and a loving human being. Nothing like that thing you just saw. Please, take this. I found it while exploring. Hopefully it'll smooth things over. And if you continue to help me, I'll promise I'll find a way to make it all worth your while. This thing, it appears to have been feeding on my father's memories. Should it eat its fill, he will be merely a hollowed-out husk, a wraith and nothing more. Unless, if we were to locate more of these memory fragments, then perhaps we could restore his mind to him and free him from this nightmare. This other creature complicates things, however. It is alien, yet to me it seems somehow familiar, like a bad dream once forgotten. All I remember is a sense of malevolent dread. It must be stopped, whatever it is. It seems to bleed decay into the surrounding areas. If that voracious mold that grows from its very shadow were to ever find its way into Oriath or Rayclast, we cannot let that happen. It's all a blur. My father was the chief Archon for High Templar Venarius, a cruel and pernicious ruler. Venarius wished to hold the world ransom with his occult relics from the rubble of Rayclast. He believed they could venerate him even higher in his status. My father was forced to experiment on the map device for him, in hopes that he would uncover some kind of weapon. I don't need to tell you that my father found something worthy of attention. And instead of handing it over, he made sure its power could not be misused. A surety that cost him his freedom, and me, my childhood. It appears my father encountered this elder some time before his entrapment in its lair. Many of his most recent diaries make reference to the creature and his learnings around it. There wasn't much, just second-hand myths from the research journals of the Watchers of Decay. One concept, however, came up time and time again. This elder is not a lord unto itself. It serves a greater master, or a greater purpose. I'm unsure. It's confusing. Both my father and the Watchers refer to the Elder as coming from the nothing, while also being a carrier for the nothing. There are also mentions of an unholy desire to spoil and decay. Perhaps it all relates somehow to those fungal growths we've seen in the maps. I've been doing more research into the Elder and its battle with the Watchers of Decay. It's truly mortifying the things they've endured at the creature's hands. These Watchers, they were all parents. It seems the Elder prefers its prey young. These men and women fought tooth and nail to avenge their children, perhaps even succeeding for a time. But the Elder has been free for the better part of 2 decades. Its taste in food could explain the steady disappearance of children in the upper class of Oriath. What if those children are still here, in this place? Twisted, tormented creatures clinging to whatever fragments of happy memories they've left. We must alleviate their sufferings. My father's memories litter this place like the first leaves of autumn. They may very well be the last precious things I have from him. I've stored them for safekeeping in a book of memories back in the laboratory. That way, even if we fail in our quest, I shall always have a record of his last acts. Feel free to have a look through them, should you find yourself there. Stay sane.
I recognize these men. That's High Templar Venarius with his guards. The other man is Valdo Caesarius, a man of science. They're building something together. Something important. That can't be right. Venarius is a good man. A pious man. He would not lash out like that. No, he must have been provoked. Valdo is shouting at him, you see? Threatening him. The High Templar has no choice. Oh dear, what just happened? Was that because of me?
Apologies for the intrusion, Exile. But when we found my father's memory fragment, I thought we could explore it with Carvis's help. Now I know what a mistake that would have been. Carvis has altered this memory, and he has likely been altering many others.
That's ridiculous. I'm innocent. All the memories we've seen clearly prove that.
Of course they do. You've made sure of that. You're no stranger to rewriting history, High Templar.
No.
Oh, yes.
Was I? Am I? I am the High Templar. Venarius. It's starting to make sense now. I sought power to wield against evil.
Stop! Can't you see what you're doing?
And I found it. Yes, this is a start. This is more than I possibly could have hoped for when I drew the blade and awoke. Yes, of course. Now I can protect Rayclast properly.
Protect Rayclast?
What am I, a monster? No, the real monsters surround us.
And what does that mean?
Demons, child. Countless. They watch us from the darkness. They claw at the thin veil that keeps our world separated from theirs. A great tide of evil that wishes only to crash down upon us and sweep our civilization into oblivion. And I will stand against it.
Then we are on the same side. The entity that fed on your memories is doing the same thing to my father. Help us stop it.
Oh, little one, it is you who will help me. Your memories will show what I need them to show for the cause. Every thinking man and woman of Rayclast will come to simply know that they must unite under me. It is the only way to guarantee a unified defense.
We won't let you get away. I can't. I don't... Exile, did you know? No, of course not. I don't think Venarius even knew who he was. How could you? But he knows now, and it seems he may remember many other things as well. If Venarius is capable of rewriting memories, he could plant very dangerous ideas into the minds of the vulnerable. We need to find those memories before he does. Don't worry, you're not alone in this. We are a team.